All hell is breaking loose right now as Donald Trump's plan with Vladimir Putin is revealed. Ukraine was promised Patriot interceptors or Patriot interceptor licenses by the Trump regime for a long period of time now. They were promised the licenses in NATO a few weeks back at the NATO summit in Turkey. But now we know what Donald Trump and Putin were talking about back on July 4th. Remember when they had a 90-minute call and they didn't really discuss what was on that call? There really wasn't a readout as you would normally expect, although Trump he doesn't do anything you normally expect. This was the headline. Putin and Trump held business-like 90-minute July 4th call, Moscow says. Remember, Trump didn't even publish it right away. We first learned about it from Moscow. Just think about it. A 90-minute phone call between the leader of Russia and the United States on the date of America's 250th birthday on that July 4th. Well, what has taken place since then? What took place over this past month?
Double tap that screen, smash that like button, y'all. Welcome to Open Eyes Media, where we just got monetized in 11 days, folks. 11 days. We reached 500 some days ago. That was the criteria for eligibility. And now we are over 800. We are less than 186 subscribers away from reaching the 1,000 sub goal that we was trying to reach. So I appreciate y'all.
Well, you had that NATO summit take place in Turkey. And this past month, Donald Trump has lured Zelensky and Ukraine in, making them believe that Donald Trump may have had a change of heart. Right? That Donald Trump saw Ukraine making advances with its FP1, FP2, and FP5. The FP1 and FP2s are the long-range drones. The FP5s are the Flamingo ballistics. And Donald Trump made Zelensky and Ukraine feel, wow, you guys are really doing a great job. I want to maybe be on your side. And there were all these very simplistic narratives from corporate news. Is Donald Trump having a change of heart? No, in my opinion, right? And if you've been following the Midas Touch Network, you remember the warnings I made from that phone call. And whenever corporate news was reporting that Donald Trump's having a change of heart, Donald Trump says that he may support Zelensky and give him interceptor licenses. I was saying, do not trust any of this. This is an op. Do not trust it. What do you think he was talking to Putin about? I think Putin was a little worried about Zelensky's FP1, FP2 drone strikes and the Flamingo ballistics that Zelensky was using to strike targets deep within Russia. But I think Putin was playing this out too, and he said, all right, look, Donald, this is what you gotta do. Why don't you pretend that you like him? I'll just act like this is making me upset. Why don't you get some information? Draw out the info from Zelensky. Let's learn what NATO is saying. They don't trust you, Donald. They have to trust you. Again, I'm giving you my opinion. You can disagree with this, but I believe this is the most likely scenario of what Putin would be conveying. And get the information. Right now, it seems that you don't even like Zelensky. Act like you like him at least. Tell him you're going to give him the interceptor licenses. You don't even really have to do it. But the key is going to be the winter, Donald, because Zelensky's running very low on the Patriot, and there's no Patriot interceptors. So what Zelensky has been able to develop are drone interceptors. They can stop the cruise missiles. A little harder to stop the cruise missiles. Zelensky can stop about 90% of the Shahid drones now, but can't stop the ballistics. The only thing that could really stop the ballistics are the PAC-3 interceptors, the Patriot interceptors, which Donald Trump previously promised that he would sell to Europe and that Europe would be able to then give to Zelensky. But then Donald Trump says, oopsie, supply shortage, catastrophic. He didn't say, he doesn't call it catastrophic, but war in Iran, we've depleted our stockpiles. We didn't deplete our stockpiles. We depleted our stockpiles. We didn't deplete our stockpiles. When it comes to Zelensky, we depleted our stockpiles, right? So you have that going on. Now, Donald Trump this past week all of a sudden went from, I'm going to give Zelensky the Patriot interceptor licenses, to now, I'm not going to give it to him. And not only that, the language that Donald Trump's been using to say he's not going to give Zelensky the Patriot interceptors sounds directly out of Putin's mouth. Have you ever watched a Putin speech, right? Donald Trump's now saying, the issue is if I give the Patriot interceptors or the licenses, that could be used against me one day. That could be used against us. What if the other side turns against us? So I'm not going to give these. Now, Donald Trump promised he was going to give the licenses. He made it very clear at the NATO summit that he was going to do it. Zelensky and the Ukrainian Defense Department relied on this. Heading into this winter, they need these PAC-3 interceptors, and it's dire. Because what Russia does, Russia sends these ballistic missile salvos of usually 10 to 15, sometimes 20. Last night in Kyiv, they sent like 25 to 30 at a time, and they all hit their targets. Kyiv.
Shout out to everybody that's been supporting the channel. I really do appreciate you. We've been subscribed. We reached monetization within 11 days, y'all. 11 days. Shout out to the supporters, everybody that's been showing up and showing out. I can't thank you enough. Peace.
Doesn't have any PAC-3 intercept. They can't do anything. They have no PAC-3 interceptors. They can't shoot down any of the ballistic missiles. So every ballistic missile basically from Russia hits its target in Ukraine. And what Russia is preparing, and this is what they're doing right now, they're building up a massive supply of these ballistic missiles, getting ready for the winter. Russia's going to do a massive winter offensive. The Russian Duma just said this war is going to only escalate and get much more violent until we take over all of Ukraine. And what Russia's going to use, now that they know that Ukraine doesn't have the interceptors, they're going to lead with these ballistic missiles. And Zelensky was told from Trump, I'm going to give you the licenses. And now that's not happening at all. Now, this is the headline from the Kyiv Independent. We have not agreed to that. Trump walks back the promise of Patriot license for Ukraine. And it's not just walking back a promise. I mean, this is existential. This is how The Atlantic reports it. Trump rejected Zelensky's request for 300 Patriot missiles for Ukraine this winter. Zelensky also asked for expanded Starlink use to target Russian ballistic missile launchers inside Russia, arguing it could offer a faster and cheaper response to the threat. Trump said he would speak to Elon Musk, but gave no timeline or final decision, leaving the plan uncertain. So you see what's going on there. Zelensky's like, look, man, look, if you're not going to give us the interceptors, if you're not going to give us the interceptor licenses, can you just turn Starlink on? We won't strike within Russia using Starlink, other than the ballistic missile launchers. So just let us use Starlink to shoot their ballistic missile launchers, because you're not giving us the interceptors. And so we are going to just be sitting targets as Russia rains these ballistics at us. Let us just shoot the launchers, please. And Trump's like, we're going to have to see. So think about the timing of this. Call with Putin, July 4th. What do you think they talked about for those 90 minutes that now at the end of this month, Trump did and by the way, Trump posted a video of the rope-a-dope. He posted the Ali Foreman fight, 8th round. So what do you think Trump's been doing? He's been just basically dodging, luring Zelensky on, wasting Zelensky's time. It's going to be great. I'm going to give it to you. If Zelensky goes back to his country, I've been offered these interceptors. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. And then Trump at the end of July, rug pull. rug pull. And then what coincides with it as well? Russia, massive strike, Western Ukraine, Lviv, pound, 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 pounding down on Lviv. And then what else happens? 2 ballistic missiles find their way in eastern Poland, which should trigger Article 4, NATO consultation, perhaps even Article 5, NATO's Joint Defense Pact. Does Poland invoke it? No. Why? Because they know U.S. won't honor it. So they don't do it. And so this, to me, was part of the plan. Wait to the end of the month. Draw Ukraine along, Donald. Tap them along, right? That's an expression Trump uses. Iran's tap me along. Tap Zelensky along. Wait to the end of the month. And then the plan gets revealed. Let's bring out some receipts as well. Just so we all know, it's very clear that Donald Trump promised Zelensky the interceptor licenses, so there could be no doubt about it, right? Donald Trump at the NATO summit, July 8th, 2026, 4 days after the phone call with Putin, there he is with Zelensky. And, honestly, do you think Zelensky fell for this? Do you think Zelensky knew that this is what was going on? I mean, Trump's clearly playing Zelensky. I was calling it out in real time that that's what was happening. Here, play this clip.
But so one of the things we're going to be talking about is we're going to give a license to you to make Patriots. That's pretty cool, right? Larry? This way you can't complain that we're not giving them enough. I'd say make them yourself. We haven't informed the company of that yet, but that'll work out all right. I'm sure they'll be thrilled. But, they'll be able to do it. You'll be able to figure that out. Most countries couldn't do that.
Now, Zelensky was at the White House this week, right? You see him right there. Notably, the meeting was not televised. Netanyahu's meeting was not televised either. Both happened at separate times. But Trump loves televising these Oval Office meetings. So why wouldn't the Zelensky and Netanyahu meetings be televised? The Netanyahu meeting, obviously, there was a reason for that, right? I mean, Netanyahu was giving Donald Trump the orders, basically, of escalating the catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran. But Trump didn't want to have the Zelensky meeting before the press because what would have been asked in Zelensky's presence, Trump would be asked, what's up with the Patriot interceptors? What's up with the license? You promised it. And then Trump would have to answer that in front of the press with Zelensky. And Trump knows Zelensky would have called him out in public. So Trump did not do the Zelensky meeting in front of the press. Instead, they did it private. You got these shots of Zelensky walking in to the White House right there. What was deeply concerning to me is when I heard Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, after Russia's ballistic missiles landed in Poland, this is what Tusk said, and this concerned me. After my conversation with Zelensky, it is quite clear to me that the next 100 days could decide the outcome of this war. Right now, I would say the chances are 50-50. Much depends on the decision made by the President of the United States. Other people also play an important role. For example, Elon Musk when it comes to Starlink and other systems. So some of this, and we've reached this dire stage because Donald Trump has tapped Zelensky along, at least for the past month, with this plan with Putin that I believe was initiated. That's a very big problem if you're relying on Trump and Musk. If you're relying on reflecting pool boys, what I call Donald Trump now. Donald Trump, who's out there saying vandals did the reflecting pool when his own Justice Department dismisses the case against David Hearn. And you see how psychologically ill, what a sick, demented scumbag Donald Trump is. And you think about Donald Trump's conduct to David Hearn, blaming him as the vandal. Think about what he's just done to Zelensky, tapping him along until the end of this month. And then revealing, I'm not going to help you. And think about the Ukrainian people who depended on these promises right here. So Kyiv got bombarded, massive casualties last night in Kyiv. I mean, the casualties there, very, very serious. Lots of people who were injured and killed. But again, they can't stop the ballistic missiles. They don't have interceptors. Here's an explosion and secondary detonation hitting a Ukrainian ammunition site in Khmelnytsky near residential areas. Let's show you this. The Russia struck this. Let's play it. Now, you do have Ukraine striking back. Ukraine's been hitting these wild berry logistical centers throughout Russia. That's like the Amazon of Russia, which Ukraine says is used to build military equipment and help with other military supplies for the Russian army. This right here, you'll see this is another logistics company called Ozon. I mean, Zelensky's hit like 43% of the wild berries. So this is hitting an Ozon plant. Here, let's play it. And also, this is video within Russia. This is video from the Nizhnekhmesk industrial zone of the polystyrene production plant blown up by Ukrainian drones. And I'll show you, here's a photo of it. Here, I'll show you the video of it here as well so you can see for yourself. Now, a major red flag for me about Trump's plan with Putin was also when the anti-Zelensky right-wing MAGA crowd all of a sudden started saying nice things about Zelensky, and that was coinciding with the time that Donald Trump acted like he was being more sympathetic to Zelensky, and there was a lot of reporting about all of that, and I'm like thinking to the corporate news, I'm like, WTF, really? WTF, you're falling for this? By the way, I talk about this in the book WTF America. It's out in October. I wrote it with my brothers. Pre-order it right now. Hit the QR code. There's a link to it in the description below. But we talk about these bigger issues, these dynamics at play. It's like the corporate news was like glazing Laura freaking Loomer because all of a sudden she was saying nice things about Ukraine. It was so over the top, though. I mean, to me, it felt forced. I mean, I think that's an understatement. That it felt forced, but all these people, even the Kyiv Independent, were like, look, Laura Loomer, she hated us. Now she thinks, just stop it. Just ignore people like that. Come on. She wasn't with you. Now you're just going to be like, oh, maybe, just maybe that there are broader forces at play right here. Laura Loomer to Kyiv Independent. Look, if I was president of the U.S. and Russia was supplying Iran with weapons, I would kill Putin. Obviously, I don't speak for the president. And then she visited Ukraine's Skyfall drone factory, signed 2 P-1 Sun interceptor drones, including one dedicated to Iran. Why are you letting her sign the drones? It's Laura freaking Loomer, man. Come on. Why are you treating her like she's some celebrity? Crazy. What are you, seriously, Ukraine, what are you doing? The hell are you doing? Then Laura Loomer's like, look, if I was the president, I would kill Vladimir Putin. Obviously, I don't speak to him, but I'm not him, but I'd kill him. Laura Loomer, F the Russians. They should come to Kyiv. If I come here and survive, why would Jared Kushner and Witkoff not come? It's nice. I guess it's nice that she's saying these words, but words don't mean shit. You need action. You need conduct. You need behavior. You need values. You need principles. And what concerned me as I was watching this on July 4th and seeing what Zelensky was doing as well, and because I've been saying this like on all of my Ukraine videos, I'm like, what are we doing here? You bringing in Loomer, you're trusting Trump with all of this? No, Zelensky was better when he was independent, they were building the FP1, FP2 drones, the FP5 Flamingo ballistics. when they didn't have to rely on him. I get they don't have interceptors, but you can't trust Trump with anything. And I also think the dismissal of Fedorov, the defense secretary now, and there's still protests, by the way, to reinstall Fedorov, the young defense secretary. Lots of people say that he could be the future leader of Ukraine. He was the guy who revolutionized drone warfare in Ukraine. And Zelensky got rid of that guy because, the commander-in-chief was part of the old Ukrainian guard, and he wanted Fedorov gone, and the people protested. So then Zelensky got rid of commander-in-chief from the old guard, so they both got fired. And I think people are a little befuddled. I want to be real. I want real talk here. And I think people are a bit befuddled of what the hell's going on right now there as well. And they're like, did we really just trust that Donald Trump? Did we put our whole winter plan on Trump providing us interceptors and licenses only for him to throw us under the bus? And this is going to be a dark, dark winter. Is that what's happening right now? This was from Camp David. This was Trump on Ukraine and the Patriots. We have to be very careful about letting somebody build our weapons because it's a hard thing to give away that kind of technology. People like that can turn on you. Who do you think told that to Donald Trump? I'm giving you my opinion protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, but in my opinion, that's right out of Putin's mouth. Donald, you can't give it to him. He's going to turn on you. You can't give your weapons like that. And by the way, I bet you Netanyahu was saying that also, as I think they were also planning the Moroccan migrants to go to northern Africa and the two Spanish cities there. Anyway, here's what Trump says about you have to be careful giving Ukraine your technology because they could turn on you. And what do you think Putin said? Putin said, look, Donald, the history of Ukraine, it's part of Russia, and you help them and you give them all of these things and they turn on you. Where do you think he's getting this from? That's Putin's language. Let's play this clip.
There were 5 missiles, and we shot all 5 down before they got close. Nobody else has that capacity. These weapons are incredible. We have to be very careful about letting somebody build them. It's very important now. We are building many plants now to make those, and the Tomahawk missile is the most incredible thing. It can go into a doorway. You can put it through a window of a house. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. You have to be very judicious, but you have to be very careful. Now, we have not agreed to that. We're talking about it, but it's a hard thing to give away that kind of technology. And I don't think this would ever happen, but those people that you give that technology, they can someday turn on you. That is possible. You look at war, it's happened a couple of times over the years, right? So we have to be very careful. I mean, we guard that. We have the greatest military in the world.
Then Donald Trump says the following on Ukraine Patriots. He goes, it's like, this is the reason we don't give our NVIDIA chips to other countries because it's highly classified technology. Idiot. You gave the NVIDIA chip, the Blackwell, to UAE. You gave them the most classified. You gave China the number 2 most classified chip. And you gave the UAE the top classified chip. And UAE is just going to give it to China, man. And so that's the reason why you're not going to give Ukraine the Patriot Interceptor license, because NVIDIA, you're just saying freaking words, man. Your words are just word shit. They don't mean anything and they're dangerous and you're a fraud and a phony. And this such an obvious freaking trap, Zelensky. You didn't see the trap. You didn't see the trap. It was so obvious. Let's play this clip.
The javelins are unbelievably. We have the greatest weapons in the world. We have to be very careful about giving out the secrets to those weapons. And they're not, you can't copy them. It's a little like NVIDIA. They have a chip. They say you cannot copy it. The complexity is so great you cannot. Most things you copy. China's known for it, other countries, we do something. And I guess we copy also. But most things you can copy pretty easily. There's a chip that they made, their ultimate chip, and they always have the ultimate chip. And I say, well, why doesn't somebody copy it? Because they can't.
And then Donald Trump goes back to the both sides. I want them to both make a deal. Zelensky's going to make a deal. Putin's going to make a deal. Trump's view is, and Putin's view is, deplete Zelensky's resources. That he doesn't have the interceptors. Get to the next winter. This is what Putin's view is. And then bombard him with the ballistics. Now, I'll play you this clip. Play it.
Months before that, it was 32,000 soldiers. I said, you got to get this war over with. I think he wants to make a deal, and I think Putin wants to make a deal. But there's a lot of dislike, as you probably noticed.
He seems very reluctant to make concessions, President Putin.
Well, nobody wants to make concessions, but they're both going to have to make some concessions. I mean, they got to make a deal. 25,000 young, beautiful people, soldiers.
Now, what Zelensky's plan is now, and this is why obviously the strikes on the Wildberry facilities are significant. Like, I don't want to underestimate them, but what worries me about them, and you could disagree with me, what worries me about the Wildberry facility strikes, even if those are used by the Russian army for logistics, which I think they are. I think they are also used bluntly for things that are non-Russian logistics. But I do think that there's part of it that's used for Russian army logistics. But what concerns me about the strikes as well is it feels like it's frantic. And I think it is, because winter is coming. And I think it's being done at these Wildberry facilities as part of a plan. Like, we have to foment a lot of social unrest in Russia amongst the people, bring the fight there, show them that no one is safe. And because we don't have interceptors, and we could get really screwed. Like, we're screwed this winter right now if we don't have these interceptors. So we've got to create real problems in Russia for the people. Now, why I get concerned is I feel like that further shows the concern about the winter and not having the interceptors. Like, to me, it's shining a spotlight on the problem of, holy shit, excuse my language, but this winter we don't have interceptors, and Russia is building up this massive ballistic arsenal. I think it reflects that a little bit to me. You tell me if you disagree, but I think it says that. And I worry that it has the ability to do the opposite of what its intention is. Its intention is to, in theory, have the Russian people get pissed at Putin, get pissed at the regime, and join against the regime. What I worry about is, can it paradoxically have the opposite impact? Potentially, could it unintentionally bring people to say, you know what, that's where I get. It may be used for military purposes, but now I'm not getting my toothpaste, or I'm not getting my whatever the tchotchkes are that you buy, or my electronics, or, whatever you buy at Amazon, but you buy it there. And you're saying, well, it's Ukraine that's doing it, versus, or do you blame, it's because we're in this, it was because we invaded them, or do you start blaming the person who's bombing the warehouse? And does that actually make people more entrenched against you? Versus, I think the idea is this is going to rally Russians to the side of Ukraine and try to stop the war. And I just don't, this is where I will openly express my ignorance, which is that what happens, or does something else happen? Now, this is the Wildberries founder, Tatiana Kim, on the Ukrainian drone attacks. Here's how they're using it there. By striking us, terrorists hide the true reasons and accuse us of allegedly selling military goods. This is how they're responding. And I'm not saying I agree with her. Let me be very clear, or I agree with this position of the Russian. I want you to know what's being said. so you have the ability to evaluate and be informed versus these debates where people are like screaming in each other's faces. I want you to be informed with data. But you can open any global marketplace, Amazon or Alibaba, and see if we have anything they don't, she said. There is no logic, common sense, or rationality in the terrorist actions, and there cannot be. The enemy himself made a public statement that the attacks on wild berries are aimed at ordinary citizens. Their only goal is to apply pressure, destabilize, and cause panic and shock among a large number of people. We see that the situation has united everyone, entrepreneurs, buyers, the business community, and representatives of regional authorities are uniting to solve the problem together. We will do everything to help businesses cope with this difficult situation. I thank everyone for the support. Together we are stronger because wild berries is you. Meanwhile, I'll show you the B-roll of what it looks like in Kyiv, which is just a kill zone right now, as they don't have the interceptors. Play this B-roll right here. I will show you B-roll of the residents now of Ukraine's city of Lviv, as they attempt to dig survivors out of the ruins of apartment buildings after Russian targeted them in missile strikes. I want to give a hat tip to Jay in Kyiv, my friend in Kyiv, who does a very good job. I want to give a hat tip to Kershan Kat. I want to give a hat tip to the MAGA account and others, open source accounts, who do a very good job aggregating a lot of the footage from the locations. Anyway, let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.
Welcome to Frozen Barbecue. Please remain calm and hungry. Customer patience level unstable.
In the first week of Trump's war with Iran, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth responded to concerns about the war expanding. And listen to what he said.
That does allow me to kind of address this idea that the war might be expanding or there's chaos, and nothing could be further from the truth. This idea that it's expanding or going, no, it's actually simplifying in a number of ways.
We are now on day 153 of this simplification, and it is expanding quite a bit. Yesterday, Egypt was hit directly for the first time in the war. The day before that, on Wednesday, the U.S. and Saudi Arabia joined forces to attack Iranian-linked militias in Iraq.
Not enough people talk about this. Can Trump end your Medicaid or Medicare subsidies? Can he do that? Let's talk. First of all, it's not that he's trying to end subsidies, ACA benefits, Obamacare. He's not trying to end that. He's trying to replace it with some bullshit. And we know it's bullshit. We know that this guy has his hands in the pockets of everything. Even the Wall Street Journal just released a story about him just sending people off to these fundraisings with corporate donors so that he can have his personal projects put together, aka ballroom, you know. But the real question becomes, will he be able to replace those subsidies? Because here's the thing. I want you to understand the importance of November. He's worried about November. He's been having situation rooms over November for two reasons: Epstein and corruption. But the third thing, it ends his super scams on the medical industry and every other industry. It ends his war powers in Iran, because basically they've shut this down several times, the war power limitation. Now, with a Democratic majority, even a few of the Republicans may jump over and support it. It's a good chance we can end his war powers. We can gut the big, beautiful bullshit bill that takes out $1 trillion out of Medicaid. And we can get the ACA benefits going because 4 million Americans are without it now. And it's estimated that tens of thousands may die without it, out of those 4 million. And so what we're looking at right now is Medicaid subsidies. He's trying to stop those. He's trying to freeze Medicaid in California and a few other states. What has been fighting him? Well, I always talk about it's now 9 groups. I know sooner or later I'm going to find a 10th group. But 9 groups fighting him back over the last 19 months, and they've been winning. The main ones been the governors and attorney generals who have been attacking him for doing this stupid shit. Just like 20 of those Democratic governors and attorney generals are suing his ass over the DHS move they made. The DHS is trying to hold ransom counterterrorism money. Post 911, counterterrorism money, grants going to states that are doing counterterrorism trainings and prevention, and God forbid anything happens. But they're holding back that money. Remember when the DHS was holding back money for FEMA? Remember that? And those little girls died in that storm in Texas. They were holding back money. FEMA could have gotten that money. They could have saved some of them. Basically, they're holding back this money so that they can get the voters' registration rolls from these states. And you know which states. They're the blue states. But at the same time, of course, the governors and attorney generals have said, no, motherfucker, we suing again. And given their record, according to Letitia James, 80% of them court cases, I don't see a judge saying no to that. Even Republican, Reagan, Bush, both Bushes, and yes, hundreds of Trump judges have said no to this man. I mean, just recently, a Trump judge said no to him trying to end sanctuary policies in Minnesota. And basically it came down to this: states' rights, bitch. Now more than ever, this is looking less like America, but very clearly like the United States of America. Because the states definitely indeed run shit. I heard this in November of 2024 after Kamala's campaign in a private meeting that involved Senator Warren. They said local's the way to go. And they were right. Because the president's weak local. He can't do a lot of things on local. Sending those ICE raids into cities is an ongoing battle. And that's why he does LMP. Lies, manipulates. He tries to get you looking at things other than Epstein, subsidies, gerrymandering, no kings, ESGN, put ESGN in there, put LMP in there. He wants you looking at this instead of this. And motherfucker, we got to remain focused. Get out our feelings. Get out our feelings and get into our focus. And what's our focus? November 3rd. Have your plan. What's our focus? Go over there. What is it? Vote.org. Look and check. Just go these days, you ain't even got to put too much information. I want to check my voter's registration in Google. Google AI will tell you where to go. That's how simple it is now. Shit. And all you got to do is start putting in the information and tell them where this is what I want. Here you go. Why am I saying that? Because you want to keep checking whether you're in a red state or a blue state. You got to have your pre-plan set up. Seriously, everybody. We got to show up. Well, he could still take the election. No, bitch. No. There's too many people. Too many people. Even though Elon's coming in to support financially, he ain't about to fuck with them satellites and do that other shit with the intelligence community and everybody watching. Like I said, there's 9 groups of people, and one of those groups is the intelligence community. The other one are the governors and attorney generals who swore that if he sends out people at those voters' places, they're going to send 10 more. For once, I really believe them because they have followed through on every fucking thing they said they were going to do. The governors and attorney generals, not Congress. But Congress is the goal why we're going to the November 3rd. Because if we don't have a majority Congress, the big beautiful bill, the Medicaid subsidies, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, basically every medical anything for veterans, Social Security, we are fucked. Facts. Facts. I really want all of you to understand how serious this is. It is. It's incredibly serious. This is real deal. We are dealing with a situation where people end their lives. We're dealing with this where they are not moving forward. I can't say this enough because if we don't show up, this is going to be disaster. I'm just telling you. And we do have a good chance of a blue wave. But this is also why I keep telling y'all, bleed out, bleed out. We don't want Trump to die. Even though I think he could go by tomorrow. If I'm wrong, I'm going to say something on Sunday. But I'm telling you, the reason we want this shit to happen is because the more he talks, the more he angers, the more he sets off people. We got, what's today, the 31st? We got August, September, October. Really 3 months, less than 100 days till we can get to that polling place. And we need to have our plan together and be ready to fight. Yes, when we fight, we do win. And here's the thing to understand. He could shut down temporarily. I'm going to give you the bad news. And I think you've already figured this out, especially if you've been following my channel. If you don't, you definitely should subscribe because nobody's talking about this stuff like I am in this context. He's definitely going to try to shut something down before then, which would be disastrous for him. Yes, it could be disastrous for us, but be disastrous for him because it's more fuel to the fire to get to those polls. We'll make it through this, y'all, but understand how we're going to make it through this, how we're going to fight through this, because this is going to be a battle. Even after the polls, we are in a fight. Even with a majority Democratic Congress, we are in a fight. It is an ongoing fight. We'll win. We'll win. But it's an ongoing fight. Remember that. Hey, binge watch the rest of my content. You know what's going on. Definitely subscribe to my channel.
The Wall Street Journal News. Try it now.
She was forced to leave her fiancé with his child in her belly. 4 years later, fate made them stand face to face. Seeing him for the first time, she was transported to that dreadful night.
Stop, Catherine! Why?
My son is a brain surgeon. And you're a bloody nobody. He should be ashamed of a slut like you. I won't have you ruin all I've built to give birth to that brat!
This is your grandson. I'll run. You'll never see me, just...
Slut.
Blaine's mother sliced open my pregnant belly and left me bleeding on the floor.
Poor Zoe kept crying for help throughout the night, until she became unconscious. However, Destiny had some other plans. Zoe was taken to the hospital, and it was a miracle like nobody had ever seen before.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
A baby was born after being stabbed multiple times in the womb. The night, even if I had to do it alone, I had almost forgotten about my past. But one day, everything came storming back to me.
Candy for the sweetest man in the hospital?
That's not me. Give me my candy.
You're so sweet I could eat you up.
Why do you talk about the handsome doctor so much? Mommy!
Slow down, sweetheart. Thank you for always being so good to him. My pleasure. Not many men treat me this well. Who's that handsome new doctor?
A gorgeous surgeon, wealthy family, still single. Blaine, after 5 years, right in front of me, all the nightmares came flooding back.
That thing inside you is an abomination!
My wounds were ripped open. Somehow I managed to reach my office. Zoe?
Zoe, thank God.
Luna, is everything okay?
It's Zia. She fell down the stairs. She nearly died.
How badly is she hurt?
Calm down. Your sister didn't do this by accident. She did it on purpose.
Why?
She did it all for a guy.
That's insane. Wait, which hospital?
St. Mary's.
You have a lot of explaining to do.
It really hurts, sis.
Good. You deserve such pain after doing something so stupid. And for what?
Well, Zoke, you won't understand, but...
Hi. Sorry to bother you. Just wanted to check in.
How could I forget his voice? The man who once brought happiness into my world.
Any double visions, Eva?
Only when I see your handsome face twice. Come here. I want you to meet my doctor. He tried to cover his anxiety. So did I.
You're Ziva's sister?
Yes. I'm her older sister. I'm sorry she's caused such trouble.
She'll need to stay a few more days as we get results back.
My hand was burning. It wasn't physical pain. It was seeing Bladen after 5 years.
We're transferring you to orthopedics. Dr. Kevin will take great care of you.
No. Dr. Dexter, you take such good care of me. I'm still sick.
Every bed in my department is precious. I need them for real patients. The nurses gossip, especially when a patient wants her doctor. You're not sick, Ziva. You're lovesick. Infatuated. You hurt yourself for attention. You lied. You schemed. I don't care if a woman can betray my trust.
Way to go. You told him about my little scheme, didn't you? When could I possibly have told him? Admit it. You're jealous he was paying attention to me.
I was worried about my idiot sister, not some doctor. I saw the way you looked at him. You want him for yourself.
I only care about your wellness, including with men. Drop it.
Blainen had moved on. Handsome, successful. I should be happy for him. But I would never see Blaine Dexter again.
I'm assigning you a new client. He wants to meet tonight, Waterfield International, 6 p.m. Don't be late.
I won't let us down. I'd been looking for an opportunity to prove myself, but this job was about to become incredibly complicated. You've got to be kidding me.
Why on earth did it have to be you?
I could say the same thing.
Blank slate. Mid-Kenture, modern, gothic.
I'm in one mood right now. Starving. We should eat before we work.
I thought you were the hungry. Why am I getting all the food?
Don't worry about me. Just enjoy it.
What are you thinking about?
Just a long day at work.
It must be difficult. Being the guardian between life and death.
More death than life lately. Is she prepped for surgery? I'll be right there. We'll talk about my home another time. I'll reach out.
As Zoe watched Blaine run off, she was reminded when she first saw him.
Just relax. You're safe now.
Despite her injuries from the car accident, Zoe felt a sense of relief when Blaine spoke to her.
Your heart is beating quite fast.
I'm nervous. How much is this gonna cost?
Any pain?
Chest pain.
Blaine had a cold, professional demeanor, but there was something warmer underneath. He wasn't all looks. He had a heart, too, but only for those he deemed worthy.
My hand is about to go under your shirt,
What?
unless you'd prefer it be off.
Why do you have to grot me for an exam?
I'm a professional, nothing more. Unless you want it to be.
Zoe gathered her belongings and went to pay for the exquisite meal.
No need. Your date took care of everything.
He's not my date.
As Zoe left, she let her mind wander about what could have happened. If only their lives were just a little different.
Blaine, don't stress yourself out about what happened earlier. Doctors aren't gods. You did everything you could. I won't let what happened today affect this operation. Well, you look a whole lot better than you did leaving the hospital yesterday. Did something good happen? No. I'm just feeling a lot better now.
Blaine tried to ignore the slight ripple in his heart.
Hey, Mom. Gonna change and head to my part-time job. Don't wait up.
Again? This happens every night now.
Promise you'll go on this date.
Mrs. Bernardo's nephew.
I'm too busy. I have Max. I told you to give him up. He's sick and you carry this alone.
Shut up, Zita!
I love Max. I just feel bad for you. Okay, I promise. The moment Max is cured, I'll go on every date you find me.
Gloria and Ziva looked at each other. Neither wanted to say aloud what both were thinking. Zoe was putting her life on hold until her son was cured. But what if that day never came? What would happen to Zoe then?
I'm sorry. Are you a doctor?
Yes?
You are very handsome. What's your name?
What's yours?
My name is Max. What's yours?
I'm Dr. Blaine Dexter.
Dr. Blaine Dexter? You're the brain surgeon with the penthouse downtown.
Are you a detective?
All the nurses want to marry you, Dr. Dexter. Are you single?
Actually, I have a girlfriend. Is that bad?
If you were single, I'd have introduced you to my mom. She works so hard. Are you a good man, Dr. Dexter?
I'm sure your mom will find a good man one day.
If I fall asleep one day and never wake up, then my mom will be alone.
Don't worry, buddy. You'll get better soon.
Well, Donald Trump knows he is losing. Donald Trump knows that the Democrats are going to win the congressional elections this year, and Donald Trump knows that that means a Democratic-controlled House of Representatives will very likely be forced by Donald Trump's own conduct to impeach him for a third time and to put him on trial in the United States Senate, where the Democrats could be in majority control of the Senate next year for many reasons, including that today, Democratic leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer, once again forced a vote on Donald Trump's war, and every Republican senator running for re-election this year chose to vote for Donald Trump's war, including Susan Collins of Maine, who could be digging her own political grave with that vote and handing over her Republican Senate seat to the Democrats in November. And Donald Trump knows this is happening. Donald Trump knows that Democratic chairmen of congressional investigative committees next year and their highly skilled staff will work 7 days a week investigating Donald Trump's massive corruption, investigating Donald Trump's corrupt personal enrichment, using his position as president to enrich himself and his family. Donald Trump knows that those congressional investigative staff members will be working 7 days a week investigating corruption at every level of the Trump government, in every department and every cabinet secretary, including the fired cabinet secretaries. And Donald Trump just watched the voting population of Hungary rise up against the corruption of a prime minister, corruption that Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to continue. Donald Trump tried to corrupt the voters of Hungary by publicly offering them cash from the American government if they would just vote for the prime minister who it turns out they hated. Donald Trump is so afraid of becoming the next Viktor Orban, the next target of the kind of top-to-bottom corruption investigation Hungary's new prime minister is promising, that Donald Trump fears losing the congressional elections so badly that he has turned to psychiatrists for help, as he publicly admitted today in a highly edited, favorably edited, no doubt, but still incapable of suppressing the madness, highly edited interview released by the Fox propaganda channel.
When somebody gets elected president, that party always loses the midterms. I don't know why. I don't know why. Nobody can explain it. I ask people that are deep into the psychological world, I said, why is it that a voter votes for the opposite party? It's even when you have a good president.
I asked people that are deep into the psychological world. With his 80th birthday approaching, Donald Trump can no longer come close to forming a normal sentence. In a lifetime of listening to people speak English, you have never once heard someone say, I asked people that are deep into the psychological world. Psychology professionals include a range from psychologists to psychiatrists, social psychologists, and others. And social psychologists have actually done some very interesting work over the years about how voters make their choices. But I think we can just dismiss it as another Trump lie with the awkward Trump phrasing of a seemingly crumbling brain. Because if Donald Trump did ever talk to people that are deep into the psychological world, he is just statistically likely to be talking to someone who thinks Donald Trump has very serious mental problems, as described in the book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, which was featured on this program in the first year of Donald Trump's first presidency. The book started off with 27 psychology experts who didn't get a chance to examine Donald Trump, of course, but watching him, were able to make their contributions to that book based on their expertise. And in later editions, it went up to 37 psychology professionals analyzing Donald Trump. And in his very first appearance on this program, in the second month of Donald Trump's presidency 10 years ago, former Harvard Medical School professor Dr. Lance Dotis said this.
Lying in the way that he does it, repeated, dangerous lying, makes him unfit and is a sign of serious mental disturbance. And to the extent he doesn't know reality, and I agree, by the way, I don't think he does know reality clearly. He doesn't have a clear grasp of it because he changes it. He makes up reality to suit his internal needs.
Destroyed some of my troops. It's okay though. I can destroy the enemies in the middle and go back to the right side to get more troops. Perfect. Now let's go back to the middle to destroy the enemies. A boss is approaching, so I really need this upgrade on the left side. I almost got it. The mud's almost off. No, the boss is almost here. Oh, I lost. Download Top War for free today.
And here we are 10 years later, and it is so much worse that finally everyone else in the news media has caught up with the issue of Donald Trump's obviously crumbling mental state. And after thousands of Trump supporters attacked the Capitol on January 6, 2021, after Donald Trump told them to go there to fight like hell, Professor Dotis returned to this program 3 days after the January 6th attack and said this.
A delusional psychopath who has been the same his whole adult life and who we knew would get worse the more stress he was under, because that's what happens with people with this kind of severe disorder. So when Nancy Pelosi said that she was making sure that the nuclear button couldn't be pushed, that was very wise and made a lot of sense. It was not an overreaction in the slightest. And when she said he's unstable, absolutely, that is exactly the situation we're in and why he needs to be removed immediately, yesterday, really, because he is going to continue to get worse.
He is going to continue to get worse. It was 5 years ago. And now finally, everyone, and I mean everyone, from the New York Times to Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene, agree that Donald Trump is much, much worse.
You can call it the Strait of Hormuz or the Hormuz Strait. I said, which is better? They said, either is okay, but you can call it either one. The only thing you can't call it is the Trump Strait. They don't like that idea.
Okay, now that is a wartime president. In the middle of the war he started, talking about what is now the central point of contention in his war, an important body of water, an important shipping channel, that he apparently didn't know existed or didn't know what to call when he started his war. So he had to ask people. We heard former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's laughter on Morning Joe this week when she was talking about Donald Trump having no idea that Iran had the power to close the Strait of Hormuz before he started his war and shut down 20% of the world's oil supply, as it has done. And tonight, the Strait of Hormuz remains 90% closed, according to CNBC analysis of commercial shipping there. And Donald Trump wants to call it the Trump Strait. Why? Because it would be easier for him to remember? And what's hard to tell now is when Donald Trump said, nobody has ever ended one war. Was that the stupidity speaking or was that the insanity speaking? The problem for a president is it doesn't make any difference. Stupidity is as dangerous as insanity.
Have you been negotiating a lot all day? I mean, is that why your voice is hoarse?
I've been screaming at Iranians all day, yes. A little bit of a laryngitis because of my I've been screaming at Iranians.
So we may have the title of the next fawning Amazon documentary about life in the Trump White House, this one about Donald Trump instead of Melania Trump. Screaming at Iranians, coming up on Amazon. He seems to be lying about two things there. First of all, that's just his voice. That's the way he sounds on a good day now. I mean, asking why your voice sounds so weird and awful does seem like a well-targeted question for Donald Trump, who seems to choose a vocal style that he thinks sounds tough guy, I guess. It was not the vocal style he chose in the 1980s or the 1990s when he could be downright soft-spoken in interviews. Donald Trump's voice is a performance choice, just like his hair is a performance choice and always has been. And they are both very weird choices. And the voice is an unbearable choice for most people to listen to. The other thing that Donald Trump is no doubt lying about is screaming at Iranians. I've been screaming at Iranians all day. No, he hasn't. First of all, he doesn't do anything all day, except maybe look at social media and watch TV. And it is more than likely that Donald Trump did not speak to a single Iranian today, or that day when that was taped before they edited it. But if we were to take him at his lying or demented word that he was screaming at Iranians all day, it means he was losing all day in his screaming negotiations with Iranians, which have achieved absolutely nothing as of this hour tonight, with the Strait of Hormuz still 90% closed. Donald Trump is the first wartime president in history who doesn't know what to call his war.
I had to go to a war. I had to go and fight either a military operation. Some people would call it a war. Some people call it a military operation.
Historians can engage in protracted debates about how much deception was involved in President Lyndon Johnson's massive escalation of the American involvement in the Vietnam War. So, too, with George W. Bush's Iraq War. Did the president lie us into war is a question that has been asked both about the Vietnam War and the Iraq War, but no president has ever made it so instantaneously easy to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he is lying about the reason for his war.
So if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon.
That is a provable lie. That is a scientific impossibility. Donald Trump knows that's a lie, but he is counting on being able to convince his voters of that lie, and here's why he thinks he can convince them.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Crazy. Must be an expensive game then. No, bro, it's free to play. Okay, well, there must be a lot of ads. No ads. So wait, you're telling me you can play it out here? Yeah, bro, you can play it anywhere. Bro, sounds like I need to get this game. Yeah, dude, download Whiteout Survival right now. You won't regret it.
If Trump 2.0 can be summed up at this point by any one thing, it is the fight over who owns the truth. Whether hard questions will be allowed, whether Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Fox News, Paramount, and other Trump allies and assets will be permitted to squash the truth and dissent top to bottom. Or, current number two, whether the First Amendment and journalistic freedom will be allowed to survive during this administration. Yesterday, Donald Trump's allies at Paramount and CBS made it clear that their commitment to quelling dissent and knocking out some of those truth tellers is very much underway. Even if they have to destroy one of that network's, one of television's most storied and valuable assets in the process of doing that. Veteran 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley has been fired. That happened after he clashed with Barry Weiss's hand-picked brand new executive producer of 60 Minutes, a guy named Nick Bilton, in a staff meeting earlier this week. They clashed after Pelley pressed Bilton about the firing of several of his colleagues and the quashing of stories that were unflattering to the Trump administration. In a statement, Scott Pelley said this, quote, "The waste is heartbreaking. Last month, 60 Minutes lost its DNA when our entire senior leadership and two of our best on-air correspondents were cruelly fired without cause. Good people were silenced because they stood up for our audience. They stood for fairness against the forces of political bias. They stood for professionalism against chaos. For my part, new management has instructed me to inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story. I've been told to include assertions that are unverified. To date, in every case, I have managed to ignore these instructions or refuse them. Recently, politicians have been invited to choose correspondents for interviews on the broadcast. Giving politicians control over 60 Minutes interviews is not how this is done. Finally, incompetence and unprofessionalism in the new management have wreaked havoc. In a case involving one of my stories, the entire program came within 19 minutes of not getting on the air at all. The collapse of values at the top has become untenable. The leadership of 60 Minutes is no longer recognizable. The principles I hold dear are gone, and so I must leave as well. I depart after 37 years at CBS with one emotion, a heart brimming with gratitude for the men and women of CBS News who encouraged and enriched my work, very often at the risk of their own lives. I pray for a day when those people and their ideals are honored again, a day when sanity, competence, and courage return. According to a recording of that staff meeting in question held earlier today, obtained by multiple outlets, including the New York Times, embattled CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss said this about Scott Pelley's dismissal, quote, "I'm only interested in working in a newsroom that's built on trust and mutual respect. We cannot do our work without it. That foundation was broken Monday." It's an assertion Pelley pushes back on forcefully, Adding this in a statement, quote, Bari Weiss knows what she said is not true. In the meeting Tuesday in which I was effectively fired, there was no effort of any kind to, quote, find a way back, as Bari Weiss said in the editorial meeting. At no point did anyone in the Tuesday meeting suggest that there could be steps taken by either side that would lead to a resolution. Bari Weiss and president and executive editor of CBS News, Tom Sobrowski, were openly hostile from the start. Firing was raised by Tom Sobrowski in the first 15 seconds. No CBS executive at any time suggested a way back. To say so now is disingenuous, and they know it. Scott Pelley joins a legion of other respected, dare I say, revered journalists who have been silenced, reprimanded, or fired for doing what journalists do, asking hard questions, many of whom have now spoken up on his behalf, including his former colleague, Sharon Alfonsi, who was also fired from 60 Minutes. She writes this, quote, he was fired for asking questions, which is the job. If you need one sentence that tells